the manipulation that's going on is even far beyond shill bidding at this point. I mean, we have pricing, companies that own pricing and grading that aren't reporting some of the sales as they're facilitating sales for online marketplaces and repacks. They're not reporting those sales in their pricing tools. We've got companies that, are selling their own cards. They're single cards. They're one of ones in their own stores. We've got a lot of stuff when you really dig into it that is pretty scary. And there are a lot of things that aren't being done, I would say, properly or ethically. And it becomes very scary as you really look at this stuff. The shill bidding is something that I think is coming to light. Everybody kind of knows it's there. I don't think anybody realized how prevalent it was or how widespread it is. And I think that's coming to light. Again, there are certain states and certain places where shill bidding is not illegal, which is a little bit scary. And some of the auction houses have intentionally moved to those states to do it. So the deeper you dig into this stuff, especially some of the practices that have come to light in the last couple of years, the more concerned I become, for sure.
Mike, what did you have?
No, mine was very timely. It's okay. Yeah, I agree with you, by the way. I think it's a scary thing. I was going to say, and after that was raised with Ravel, Darren then said, hey, let's pause for a quick snipe read. Go over to Rick Probstein's new site and do your bidding there.
Oh,
Ravel, of course, with his hard-hitting question. Yeah, he gave him a total pass, so I thought it was funny. Anyways, neither here nor there. I do want to talk about top score in basketball, though, because, again, I think this is another one of the late examples, and I came out pretty strong against it. And quite frankly, after I did it, I was like, I'm not sure I'm right. So Chrome comes out to the public, Chrome basketball, at $700 a box. And initially, for a jumbo box, I went live that day immediately like I always do. I don't really think. I just say, hey, this is stupid. I hate it. Like, I thought Topps Chrome was going to be great. It's the best quite frankly, one of the best products from when I was a kid, like in the late 90s. And I was like, no, it's $700. I hate it. And then immediately within hours, I was watching probably 150 boxes on eBay, and they're going for $1,100. And so it's like, well, they came out too high was my initial position, and I thought, well, if the secondary market's going to do this anyways, what is Topps' obligation? I would ask even the same with Upper Deck. If you have a product, hey, Upper Deck this year is going to have amazing young guns, we're going to come out at $150 direct, but the secondary market on day one is going to sell it for $400. I do wonder, like, what is your obligation as a card manufacturer in that scenario?
Well, look, I think it's conflicting, and I think that's one of the issues that the other manufacturers have here is in a lot of cases, your duty is to your shareholders to try to maximize how much money you make. But at the same time, you also need to, make it fair for the market in general and the collectors. Once it hits the secondary market, there's nothing any of us can do. The market controls that. I also saw those same boxes selling for $400 over the weekend. So it's, gone from $700 to $1,000 to $400 in the course of a week or two. The market will do what it does. I think, for us, I can't speak to what the other companies do or their strategy. What I can say is we've seen a huge influx over the last several months of collectors coming into hockey because our products are just not priced at the same levels as the other sports. And the value coming out of the box versus the price of the box is unparalleled right now in the industry. And, it'll be interesting to see what happens to the secondary market value, particularly of hockey going forward as we're seeing more and more influx coming. And again, we don't control the secondary market, so it'll be really interesting to see what happens to those prices. I think the one thing that differentiates us and why I can't specifically comment on some of that stuff, Mike, is that we're the only company that doesn't sell hobby boxes direct on our website. So we don't set the pricing initially like the other companies. And again, part of that is the stance of where we sit as far as, setting the market and setting prices on that stuff.
That's actually something I wanted to talk about, Jason, because it starts to get into the conversation of how do you view breaking? But I'm going to hold off on asking that question for the moment, just because you mentioned something interesting about how Upper Deck is pricing, say, their hockey products, which, hey, Cut the or Nonsense on Ice, one of the more popular new shows that comes out of Sports Cards Nonsense Network. That is awesome that you guys are a part of it, because you guys are the preeminent name in hockey cards. Now, that being said, you guys know how it can be expensive to include patches from these guys just to get the actual memorabilia. To get autos, people are charging more and more. The same thing goes with other sports, and I would venture to say maybe even more so, like more cost prohibitive in some cases, because you get some bigger and bigger, more popular names, and those prices are going to go up. So it costs a lot of money to create the product in some cases. In this case, this week that we're doing this interview, you've got the Upper Deck, the Cup product coming out, and it right now is listed for $1,500 a box. Now, some would say $1,500 a box is pretty expensive for a product. Now, what are your thoughts as far as, like, if someone were to push back and say, well, Upper Deck isn't immune to also having their higher price products as well?
I mean, at $1,500 a box, the Cup is the highest end hockey product we make. If you look and compare that against the other sports, it's actually pretty reasonable. I mean, we've got boxes. I mean, if you just point to where Topps Chrome ended up after the first sales at $1,000, I would say that's probably going to end up being a mid-tier to entry-level product when everything is said and done. It's almost the same price as our highest end product, Jesse. So I don't know that it's apples to apples. Yes, we do make products in a variety of pricing. I mean, we make MVP hockey and O-Pee-Chee hockey that is less than $100 a box every year, and have committed to having those entry-level products for forever. But we also make high-end products as well. But if you look at our high-end products versus the other markets, we're substantially less.